Welcome to Show and Tell number 2, the Train Group with Kimmy and Jackie. We continue to work on multimedia for Project Train, which stands for Teacher Resources for Addiction Impact Now. The learners for Train are K-12 teachers, administrators, pre-service teachers, teacher educators, and the facilitators. Of the 3 modules listed, we are still focused on creating multimedia for Module 1, Understanding Addiction. We continue to focus on the first 2 objectives in Module 1. For the first objective, we decided to stick with our use of the Padlet, as it can be embedded easily into any platform. Also, it offers interactivity, which our clients value. The biggest change we decided to make is to change our infographics on the continuum of substance abuse and disorder criteria to animations. This was due to our new knowledge on the principles of modality and redundancy. The cognitive channels were not being maximized and instead were being overloaded. While utilizing the audio feature has proven to be beneficial, it is not beneficial to read verbatim what is on the page. The animation allowed for the auditory channel to be accessed while not overloading the visual channel with too many words. We also opted to change the storyline and some aspects of the animated video depicting the misconceptions and stigma of substance use disorders. Finally, 2 quizzes were added to offer transferability practice. Our multimedia applies the following cognitive theories: cognitive load theory, visual representation, learner-centered, constructivism, collaboration, and since our first show and tell, we have added the principles of modality and redundancy as they helped us rethink our infographic decision. Aside from changing the Padlet itself due to changing the account holder, we kept the Padlet as it was. It allows for an interactive area for learners to share prior knowledge. This allows participants to find the initial schema in which they will build upon during the remainder of the training. This supports the constructivist theory as participants will use past experiences to create new meaning throughout the remainder of the training. One of the components of the first objective is to identify the 4 parts of the continuum of substance abuse. Again, an infographic was initially created for this portion. However, after reading about the principles of modality and redundancy, we realized the need to change this feature. Reading verbatim with the infographic was not going to maximize the dual channels. While giving learners control would have justified the infographic somewhat, the research completed in the area of the principle of redundancy stated that it would lead to a verbatim memory, as opposed to the transferability that we are seeking from this training. Here is a short clip from the continuum of substance abuse. The first part of the continuum is abstinence. This consists of no use of recreation.
For the same reasons we changed the first infographic, we changed the second as well. This animated video uses simplistic designs that also follows the principles of redundancy and modality. The change to this animated video was the inclusion of the text list. While this isn't necessarily supported by the principle of modality, it is learner-controlled as they have access to the pause button. We felt it important for learners to be able to pause and reflect on the entire list if they felt it necessary. Here is a brief clip of the substance use disorder criteria animation.
Now that we have an idea of where addiction lies in the continuum of substance use, we're going to take a deeper look at that last category.
While updating our original infographics to animations, we made sure to maximize the working memory by utilizing dual channels while also adhering to the principles of modality and redundancy. Dark text and animation was used on a white background to add to the simplicity of the first 2 animations. The animated video on misconceptions and stigma of substance use disorders was amended somewhat, as will be explained in more detail on the next slide. After receiving feedback on the storyline of the animation, we decided to create a video where 2 people are discussing a friend's active addiction. One character, Tom, relays to the other character, Mary, how their friend is experiencing a relapse. In this conversation, Tom uses terminology that relates to the often used stigma associated with addictive disorders. Mary explains to Tom through their conversation that such terminology contributes to the stigma and to an individual's difficulties with recovery. Although the storyline has changed, theoretical framework remains the same with a couple of exceptions. The animation reflects a personalized experience for learners through the use of casual conversation and misunderstandings of addiction. Furthermore, it maintains a simplistic design with minimal background distractions and simple characters. It incorporates both visual and auditory aspects to maximize working memory. However, it no longer includes textual information in accordance to the redundancy principle. Incorporating both visual animation content and textual information is redundant and could overload the working memory. Therefore, we reduce the potential for this by omitting any textual information with the exception of the title scene. Additionally, we considered factors related to the modality principle in this redesign. First, it suggested that the modality principle is stronger when the animation is fast-paced and system-paced. Our video will be within 5 to 10 minutes long and has minimal learner control, except that learners can pause and restart the video as needed. Second, the words used should be familiar to the learner. The exchanges between the characters involve explaining the best terms to use, so what terms are unfamiliar are explained. Third, the modality principle is stronger when the information is complex. Quite simply, misconceptions and stigmas are complex social constructs. The information is broken down into more understandable ways. Finally, it is best for the transfer of information rather than retention of information. It is our hope that learners will be able to transfer the language and new understanding of interacting with someone with an addictive disorder to real-life situations. And here's a brief clip of this animation.
Hi, Tom. You seem upset. What's wrong?
Hi, Mary. I'm very upset with our friend Mark. He's abused.
As the purpose of this training is for teachers to transfer their knowledge to real-world situations, small quizzes to practice were added after both of the animations. This provides the learner with practice to give them confidence. In addition, the quizzes help with our usability screenings. For our usability test, we are starting at task 2 from our original storyboard. As shown in the image, this will begin the video playing animation and text simultaneously. The learner will have control over the pause and rewind features. Then, at the end of the narration, learners are prompted to take a short quiz. To complete our usability test, learners will access the transferability quiz on the continuum of substance abuse. Learners will read the prompt and select their answer. If their answer is correct, they will move on to number 2. If their answer is incorrect, they will receive feedback. Learners will move on to the next questions. This will continue until all 5 questions have been answered. We conducted the usability test on 2 volunteers representing the intended audience of TRAIN and plan to conduct the test on 4 more volunteers. One of these volunteers is the director of an educational support program and previous high school math teacher. 2 are master's level social work students, and the other is a bachelor's level social work student. So far, the participants scored 505 on the quiz and were supportive of the animation. They said that they enjoyed the simplicity of the video and were able to concentrate on the content. To further justify the change to the animation from the infographic, 2 of the participants viewed the infographic with audio after, and both said that they would not have been able to concentrate on both components at the same time, which is supportive of the principles of modality and redundancy.